Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're new. My name is Laura and this is my channel, Laura's Book Corner. And today I thought that since the year is now halfway over, which is crazy to say, I feel like this year has only just begun, we would do a mid-year tag where I introduce you to all the books I've read so far this year, what I rated them, what I thought about them, why I rated them this way, and yeah, with that being said, we should get right into it. So, my year started off with some Throne of Glass books. This series I started last year in December. Last year I read The Assassin's Blade and Throne of Glass, so I read The Assassin's Blade first. By the way, I'm sorry if the lighting is weird, I don't know what's happening. Anyway, so I read The Assassin's Blade first, which I actually would recommend, because reading it as, I think you can read it as third as well, but I feel like that spoils kind of the ending of The Assassin's Blade, and I think it hit harder for me now that I have actually read it first. So I would recommend, personally, I would recommend doing that, but I feel like everyone has to figure that out for themselves. So, my year started with Crown of Midnight. This book I gave 4.25 stars. I'm tracking my books on Storygraph, and there you can give half and quarter stars. So, this is the book where I started hating Cow Charcoal. I have no idea how to pronounce his name. I say Kale because ever since this book, I hate him. He is so annoying, and I just hated him in this book. There's nothing more I can say. I don't fully remember everything else that happens in these books. Like, I don't know what happens in each individual book anymore. I know where I am in the story, but yeah. Then I read Heir of Fire, which, you know, you get introduced to a lot of new cool characters, but other than that, not that much happens in this book. This is essentially the training montage that sometimes movies have, but it's stretched out over a whole book. So the first 100 to 200 pages are, you know, could have been shorter. I think this is one of the weaker books in this series. And I gave it also 4.25 stars. Then we are moving on to Queen of Shadows, which I really love. I gave this one 5 stars, and I think that this is the best one in this series for me so far. There are awesome characters, the story is progressing nicely, it has cool twists and action scenes, and yeah, I really loved this one. I read this book in January, and ever since then I have not read any other Throne of Glass books, because I am now stuck at the tandem read. I'm just not interested to read Tower of Dawn because, sorry, spoiler alert, I don't want to read anything from Cale's perspective, because I'm still so annoyed by him that I don't want to follow him for a whole book. So yeah, that's why I kind of stopped. But I really want to finish this series this year. So then next I read Fourth Wing. I know I'm kind of late to the party. I've been putting off reading this book for a very long time, because after seeing lots of great reviews, I saw lots of really bad reviews. But then at some point my curiosity got the best of me and I read it. And I have to admit, I thought that I would hate it, but I'm actually pretty positively surprised by it. I think this is also partially because I really love like an academy setting, and this has it. The characters I thought were fine. The best thing, or the thing I liked most about this book, were the dragons and how they were talking to each other and how kind of sassy they were. I thought that was awesome. But otherwise, yeah, I think it was an entertaining book. The criticism about this, that it's not deep enough or that it's not fantasy enough, I just think that, you know, not every book has to be a masterpiece. It can be enjoyed just for the fun of it. And I think this is a book to read just for the fun of it. After Fourth Wing, I moved on to Iron Flame. I have the German edition, which is why this is so thick. It has, let me check, wait a second, 955 pages. And this was honestly so hard to get through. This book could have been half as long and it would have been fine. This is just so full of Violet's whining, and she was so annoying in this book. And I think that's also partially because Violet and Xaden are separated a lot in this book. And I feel like Violet's character suffers because a lot of times she is only interesting when Xaden is around too, which is sad and disappointing, but it's the case. And so it makes her character very just annoying and kind of boring. And also, tiny spoiler, I guess, Andarna is not here for most of the book, which was the biggest disappointment ever, because I love Andarna and I really missed her. She was one of the best parts for me of Fourth Wing, and here she is completely missing. It was a fight. I fought to get through this book. It took me so long, and now I do own Onyx Storm. I am looking at it right now, but I don't know when I will be ready to read it, because this was so tough to get through. Honestly, it was really hard. I totally forgot to mention the ratings of the books. Fourth Wing I gave 4.5 stars, which is surprisingly high, but you know, this book was fun. It was great. And Iron Flame I gave 2.75 stars. If someone knows, does Onyx Storm get better? Because if Onyx Storm is as horrible or as boring as Iron Flame, I will not read it. Even though my edition is so beautiful. But if it's as hard to get through as Iron Flame, then there is no way I can go through this again. So if some of you have read it, please let me know that it gets better, because then I will for sure continue this series. But I just cannot deal with the second Iron Flame. I cannot do it. Then I read a book called Wir sind die letzte Generation, or in English it would be We are the last generation. And this is basically a book that deals with the topic of climate change. It follows a teenage boy who at some point crosses lives with a teenage girl who is a climate activist, and we follow their journey essentially of her kind of educating and introducing him to activism and why it is important, and showing him that truly everyone can make a difference, and that if we don't, who will try to change something, you know? It's just really a kind of endearing book. It gives you courage and hope that there actually is something that every one of us can do to help our world, and that it's still not too late. And the special thing about this book is that it's written kind of like poetry, so it's written in verses. I don't know the English word for this right now, but yeah, which makes it really fast to get through. I just feel like it could have gotten a little deeper, which is why this has 3.5 stars from me. I really enjoyed it, but that's also because, you know, it's kind of my topic. I love to read about this kind of stuff, so yeah. Then I read the new Hunger Games book. This one I gave 4.25 stars. I really thought that I would completely love this, that it would be a 5-star read through and through, because I love the Hunger Games. I love Hamish's character, so, you know, this should be a 5-star book. But it wasn't for me, because I feel like it was harder to get into the story than it was with the original trilogy. I don't know why. If it's because I can just identify with Katniss's character more, that it was easier for me to get into the story, or because this kind of drags in the beginning. But I just found it a little harder to get into. But otherwise, the story. I think it was great. Susan Collins is an amazing writer. It was a super tense and heartbreaking story, so for any Hunger Games fan, of course, this is a must-read, and I'm pretty sure that everyone has already read it. I would be interested to know if you also found it a little harder to get into, or if it was just a me thing. Could also be that I was just too stressed or too distracted by other things to really get into it, but I don't know. So if you read it, let me know what you thought about this story. Next, I read Shine Bright by Anna Savas. This is a German book. It's called the New England School of Ballet series, and by the way, I googled it. Apparently these books do exist in English, and so if you can somehow get your hands on these, the first part is called Hold Me. This is the first part of the series. It has 4 books. So yeah, if you can get a hold of these, definitely read them. Shine Bright is about one of the main characters we follow. This one is about Leah, and she has a one night stand before going to London to study ballet there for a while, and when she comes back to this ballet school, the guy she had the one night stand with is now a teacher. So this not only has the beautiful setting of the ballet school and dancing and ballet topics, it also has the forbidden love trope and a little bit of an age gap, but I don't think that it was too bad because I'm very skeptical about age gaps and I love this story. So forbidden romance, ballet, it's awesome. I don't know if the Dance Academy series, there was a series on TV about a ballet school in Australia, in Sydney, and it followed a girl called Tara, and she went to the school, and it follows her throughout these 3 years. When I was a child, it was on TV. Now, every year I rewatch it because it's on YouTube, but the German version is on YouTube. I don't know if the English version is, and I don't even know if it must have an English version if it's playing in Australia, right? If you have seen the series, if not, please Google it. It's so cute. If you've seen this series, if you like this series, these books are for you because they give the exact same feeling that TV show did, only in book form, and so you can relive this beautiful experience and do the thing you love, read. So I would definitely recommend these. They all follow different tropes. So the first one, for example, was brother's best friend. The second one is, I know it's a romance story with a musician, but they also always deal with kind of some harder topics, so definitely also always check the trigger warnings, but yeah, big recommendation from me. I gave this book 4.5 stars, but that's only because I'm very critical with my 5 stars. 5 stars I usually give to books that kind of change the way I view the world, or like that I keep thinking about, or that had like deep quotes, but yeah, this has 4.5 stars for me. Then I read another German book called Camp Rainbow. This I gave 3.75 stars. This basically is about a summer camp for only queer people, and we follow 17-year-old Malin, and she is still unkissed, and she wants to change that this year because, she is in this camp the 4th year in a row and she still hasn't kissed anybody. She feels like she's missing out on this experience, and so she kind of makes a plan, or a list of people that could be potential kiss partners for her, and we just follow her cute story of, falling in love, trying out different things, and really discovering what she actually wants from a relationship and what's important to her. And this is just such a cozy, feel-good summer book. So yeah, it was so adorable, and the setting was beautiful in the mountain, forest, lakes. It was just, it was a really cute book. Then I read the first part of the Darkest Gold series, and I was in for a shock because for some reason I thought that this is YA. Quickly I realized that that was not the case. Because, you know, this much of the book, I think, is about her lusting after her kidnapper, essentially. It's kind of, as far as I know, this is a King Midas retelling, but oh boy, it was very... I can say that, you know, this was not for me. It was a bit too offensive to women for me, and a bit just too focused on physical relationships, and it was really infuriating for me to read this. And it was so annoying that she essentially suffered from hard Stockholm syndrome because she loves the dude that keeps her in a cage. But, you know, the last 100 pages or so, they were great. Because this is when we dive into the fantasy. This is where the plot really starts, and this is where she also introduces new fantasy creatures, and that was really, really cool. But because it was so little and the beginning so was not for me, I don't think it convinced me enough to read the second book. So I will not finish the series because no, this was a hard pass for me. I gave it 2.25 stars. Then I read the new Ellie Hazelwood book and I loved it, but that's just because I love Ellie Hazelwood. I would read anything by her and love it, to be honest. I gave this book 4.5 stars. And I was really skeptical about this book because, as I said before, I'm kind of skeptical about age gap romances, and these guys have, I think, 15 years age gap. Ellie Hazelwood dealt with the topic very well, so the characters talk about the age gap, they talk about the risks or, you know, the things why this type of relationship could be not healthy, and they both get a say in it, so I like that they are openly, you know, discussing the issues. I think it deals with it in a great way, so it doesn't feel like he is using her, and it's more just like a cutesy, wholesome romance. And this also is kind of the second part to Not in Love, also by Ellie Hazelwood. And Not in Love I didn't like that much because it had way too much spice, for my opinion. And this one had a lot less, which I was grateful for. If you think that this is a lot like Not in Love, definitely not. But if you more so like books like Check and Mate, I think this is more your jam. But it was stunning. It's a great summer read. It's in Sicily during the summertime, and it's adorable. I will recommend it. Then I read Beauty and the Bachelor by Kelly Oram, which essentially is the book version of the reality show The Bachelor, but also kind of a modern retelling of The Beauty and the Beast, as one could think from this title. I actually loved it. It's like The Bachelor, but an actually romantic, and you know, to make this guilty pleasure of watching The Bachelor a little less guilty, you can read it in book form. This is for everyone who at some point had the fantasy of like also being in a show like The Bachelor. I feel like this could be for people who like the selection, maybe. So you are taking part in this show, right? But you're not too interested into the guy, so you don't really try too hard, but he is still running after you, and because he's so obsessed with you. If you have ever had this fantasy, this book has this exact fantasy. And so it will be awesome for you. And I think that it also reads very easy and quick, just like, you know, how quickly you watch all the episodes of a reality TV show like The Bachelor. So, yeah, if you like all these things, I would recommend this. I gave this book 4.5 stars. And then we are at the last book I read this year, and that is Hello Stranger from Catherine Center. And I read this book very recently, but it definitely is one of my most favorite romance books now, because this book showed me that even the romance genre can be full of unexpected twists and turns, which made this book so interesting. And I also think that the love story was so adorable. I really love the male main character, so I really love the love interest. If you're searching for a new, cute, wholesome book boyfriend, here you go. It was so cutesy and wholesome. Wow. And what I also really like about this book, our main character Sadie here, essentially she loses the ability to recognize faces, and so you see the world through her eyes and essentially have a whole different experience. Seeing the world through her eyes was awesome because it makes you value things more that you may have taken for granted up until now, and it really changes how you view the world. And I love when books do that. I love when they change like your worldview, and this book definitely did that. It was really cute. I can highly recommend this. It's the first book I read by Catherine Center, but if her other books are like this, I will read them all, because she really can do awesome switches of more intense kind of sad scenes to then more lighthearted funny ones to romantic ones, and so you really experience all the emotions with her books. And now those were all the books I've read so far this year. Definitely let me know how many books you've read this year. It would be very interesting to me because I feel like I've been kind of slow this year, but that's also because I didn't have too much time. But I hope that I can like catch up again over the summertime now. I now just started A Little Life, which in the German version has 950-ish pages. I'm definitely excited to be reading that now. Let me know what book you are reading right now. And yeah, wish me all the luck that I can actually finish 40 books this year. I am hopeful, I am determined. We will see. We will see. And with that, thank you for watching and see you soon next time.